So, according to an analysis from Kamsina Iktisad, a huge geopolitical shift is quietly being set up in the Middle East, and it's a move that would put Egypt and Lebanon right at the very center of everything. Let's dig in to what's supposedly going on. This whole thing forces you to ask a really big question. After so many years of fragmentation, are we about to see the return of great alliances in the region? Well, according to our source, the answer is a big, loud yes, and it all starts with an absolutely bombshell claim. All right, let's just get right to it. The source is claiming that a massive, historic visit is in the works for 2026. The plan? For Egyptian President Abdel Fattah Al-Sisi to fly to Beirut and basically declare that Lebanon is now under Egyptian protection. Just like that, drawing a whole new red line in the sand. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Oh, like that old union with Syria, the United Arab Republic? Hold that thought. The analysis we're looking at says this is something completely different, a partnership really built for the modern world. I love the metaphor the source uses here. It describes the old 1958 union with Syria as hastily boiled. Rushed, thrown together, and it just didn't work. But this new proposal? It's being cooked on a slow fire. This isn't about merging into one big country. Nope. It's about two separate states, two separate governments, but with one single shared strategic vision. So the big question is why now? What's happening right now that makes this possible? Well, the answer seems to be a massive power vacuum that's opened up in Lebanon. All the old players are heading for the exit, and that creates an opening for someone new to step right in. And here's the breakdown. According to this analysis, all the traditional powers that used to have so much influence over Beirut have just seen it completely fall apart. The Saudi project? Faltered. Iran's influence? Seriously damaged. Syria? Basically neutralized. And with other players like Qatar and Turkey not really able to fill that gap, Lebanon has been left wide open, creating the perfect conditions for a move like this. Okay, so how would this all actually work in practice? The source says this is way more than just a political statement. It's a huge three-part strategy that's designed to rebuild the entire Lebanese state, basically from the ground up. First up, the military and security. We're talking about a complete overhaul of the Lebanese army. That means Egyptian training, new equipment, and this is a big one, advanced air defense and missile systems. The whole point is to create a strong, sovereign national army that can actually defend its own borders and maybe finally end the era of militias. It even includes securing communications to stop foreign spying. Now, to really get a handle on the economic part of the plan, you have to understand just how catastrophic the collapse has been. Think about this. Before the Civil War, back around 1975, $1 was worth about 2 Lebanese lira. People called Lebanon the Switzerland of the East. Now, fast forward to today. At certain points, a single dollar has been worth over 90,000 lira. That's not just inflation, that's the total wipeout of an economy. And it's this exact crisis that the Egyptian plan is supposed to fix. So the economic pillar is all about a massive recovery effort. Egypt would use its own experience to help Lebanon navigate tricky negotiations with the IMF and push through reforms. Then Egyptian companies would take the lead on rebuilding critical infrastructure, like the port of Beirut. And the ultimate prize, the real game changer, unlocking Lebanon's huge offshore gas reserves. And the third and final pillar is diplomacy. This is where Egypt would step in to be the essential mediator, the one country that can talk to everybody. It would manage direct talks between Lebanon and Israel on really tough border issues, while also using its unique relationships with Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey to make sure Lebanon stops being a battlefield for other people's wars. But here's the thing. A plan this ambitious doesn't just come out of nowhere. The source makes a compelling case that this is really just Egypt stepping back into its historical role as the key power in the Levant. And I mean, just look at this history. We're going all the way back to the pharaohs, from Thutmose III to Muhammad Ali, who actually allied with Lebanese rulers, to Egypt supporting Lebanon's independence from France. Even as recently as 1958, it was Egypt's Gamal Abdel Nasser who ended a civil war by suggesting the army commander should be president, a tradition that's stuck around ever since. So in a way, this move is framed as Egypt just coming home after a long time away. Okay, so let's pull back and look at the big picture. If this analysis is even close to correct, Egypt's return isn't just about saving Lebanon. It's about fundamentally reshaping the power dynamics of the entire Middle East. Now, this is absolutely crucial. The source really emphasizes that Egypt's goal here is not to pull Lebanon into its orbit or use it as a pawn in some bigger game. The whole idea is for Egypt to act as a balancer, an outside force that helps the Lebanese state get back on its feet, not a player trying to control things for its own ends. Of course, a move this big is going to make some serious waves, and the analysis suggests several key actors are probably pretty worried. For Iran, it could mean losing a critical piece of its regional strategy. For Israel, suddenly you're dealing with a sovereign neighbor that has a real professional army, a much different situation than dealing with militias. And really, for any country that's gotten used to pulling the strings in Lebanon from afar, this changes the entire game. And we're going to end on this really powerful quote from the source because it just perfectly captures the entire argument. It suggests that real power, real leadership, isn't about who can start wars, but who has the will and the ability to stop them. And the question that leaves us with is this: is Egypt stepping in to put out a fire, and in doing so, completely redefining what it means to be a power in the Middle East?